What's up? This is Rebel Radio.
What up? What up? This is DJ Newmark.
This is Peanut Butter Wolf.
It's your boy. It's okay.
Keep checking out Rebel Radio.
Rebel Radio.
This is Rebel Radio.
We're in the place right here. Rebel Radio is going down.
Did you say Rebel Radio?
Oh, wait. Let's do it again.
Rebel Radio.
What's up, Rebels? Welcome back to Rebel Radio, the weekly show where I bring you the rebels who are shaping our culture. I'm your host, Josh Levine. This week, we sit down with Disco Donnie. Donnie is a legendary rave promoter from New Orleans. He's been at the top of the game for 20 plus years, and he's paid a serious price personally for his dedication to dance music and to raves. I don't want to spoil it for you, but we talk a little bit about that in our interview. And this dude continues to push the boundaries. He recently bought back his company that he had previously sold, and he's charging ahead. He's really some great lessons about, having a vision, listening to your audience, but being laser focused on what it is you do. Some great stuff we can all learn from, I'm sure, in this age of distraction and indecision. So let's get into it. But dude, I'm glad we finally got to connect. I know I've been talking to Susie for a while, and then I know you're friends with Simon.
Yeah.
And you did the summit with us and all that. So excited to finally talk. And then, of course,
that was good. I learned some stuff over there.
Did you?
Yeah, I mean, they had some. That was a cool little panel.
I mean, I think people learned from you. It's good to hear. That was a good panel, though. The one you were on, it was like real. People dealing with real issues.
Right.
On a daily basis, which is you guys are in the heart. The live music business is in the heart of everything that's happening right now. I've been following you since more or less day one. So excited to finally meet you. Wish it was in person.
Yeah, we used to send you guys flyers, and then I think Raven was like, "What the?" He said, "Man, you guys got the best flyers." I'm like, "Yeah, we're trying. That's the only thing we have, but we're trying." So
you know what? It's funny. That's a funny thing to talk about. Like rave flyers. Rave flyers are so interesting because they kind of violated like everything that you're supposed to know about marketing, which is this like keep the message really simple. People have 5 seconds of attention or whatever. And then I remember back in the day, you'd get these rave flyers. Some of them would fold out into a poster and a full page, and there's all this copy about the DJs or the location or, all this stuff. And I always found that so interesting. Maybe it's just because you had fans that wanted all they could get.
yeah, I mean, that's how we had to communicate with the fans, right? That's how we communicated what we were doing with the people.
Sure.
Definitely had to make it look interesting. It was a whole art form. I mean, we still do them, but it's all online. I mean, It's definitely a different thing. I kind of missed that part. It was kind of like the homage to like the 70s, concert posters, or when I was a kid, we used to drive around and look on the phone poles to see who was playing that weekend. Mm-hmm. That's how you learn that what was going on, and that's kind of how we were able to grow as a scene by putting out artwork that people picked up because it was interesting. And sure. There was some hyperbole on all those flyers.
Of course,
for sure.
Of course.
Yeah, I don't think I don't. Yeah, I never read a Rave flyer that had really good, solid, honest information on it. It was every show was going to be the best one ever. When I started after my first few ones, I kind of got away from that, and just kind of let basically let people be surprised when they got in there. People used to list every single light fixture they had at the event, and so so. And then I started making fun of people that did that. So that seemed more entertaining to me than telling people they're going to get all the stuff. Kind of under promise and over deliver.
Yeah, for sure.
Our motto was.
No, that's huge, and I, it's funny you say that because I remember out here we had that sound system, 140 dBs.
Yeah.
And people would list that on a flyer, and I remember even thinking about that. It's 20 something years ago. like, you know, that's so different than what you see on a rock concert, right? Where it's like, here's the band, here's the time, and here's where you get tickets, right? And this, like, you're promoting your, you know, what sound system, what lighting company you're using, all of that, which, you know, I agree, it can be too much, but I also think it's, you know, what part of what it was though, and you were a big part of this, was where the promoter and the party is becoming the brand, right? And that's something that other genres of music never really did. You know, maybe not until Coachella, right? Well, I guess some of the big festivals, you know, for sure, but for the most part, the party wasn't the brand. The artist performing was what drew people to it. And I think, you know, you guys, especially in the early days, really changed a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, look, in the early days when I first started doing shows in New Orleans, you know, we were just bringing DJs from New York, or we were just mimicking what we saw with the flyers we got in the record stores in New York or in LA. We were just bringing the DJs. Nobody really knew who they were, but they just knew they were from out of town.
For sure.
And because this is pre-internet days, and there just wasn't enough information out there. I mean, there were, you know, maybe some top DJs were bubbling, but not in the South. People couldn't get that information, so we would just bring people from out of town.
It was a big deal to have somebody from New York come down to New Orleans.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, they're from New York, they must be good.
Yeah.
You know, basically that's where the brands were the ones that were drawing people with the artist, and then, you know, the flyer. I mean, we were doing between like one time we had one as a scratch off, or
cool.
You know, we're using all kinds of different paper, all kinds of different cuts. We were using big ones, little ones. I mean, we just changed it up with the brand.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what, to get people in the door and get that hook, because we knew once they came through, once they saw what was going on, we knew they'd probably come back.
Yeah. Thinking back at the very beginning, well, even maybe before that, do you remember the first record you ever bought?
The first record I ever bought? Wait. My first record, I think it was Queen.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was, but it wasn't a record per se. It had, on one side it had "We Will Rock You,"
yep,
and the other side was "We Are the Champions." So,
wow.
That was like an amazing 45 at the time. You know, you had two good songs.
For sure. And so, were you, as a kid, just like all about music?
I tried to be. I wasn't very musical per se. I tried. I liked playing different instruments. I never really took to any, but I like the theory of me. I took trumpet lessons. I took violin lessons.
Yeah.
I took clarinet lessons. I was in the choir.
Right.
I was in a band in 8th grade. I was the singer, but I couldn't sing. So I mean, I liked music, but I wasn't. It wasn't really my thing to be an artist.
Sure. Yeah. And then, so you were in New Orleans. How'd you get introduced to dance music and raves, or probably they were like undergrounds at the time?
Yeah, no. So yeah, it was a small scene, and I was waiting tables at night, and somebody's like, "Hey, you want to go to a party and check it out?" And yeah, so I went to my first party. It was a small gathering, maybe like 100 people, and I was like, "Oh wow, you know how I had just come back to New Orleans from school, and I'm like, you know, how long has this been going on?" They're a couple years, and I was like, well, you know, I was wondering why I had never heard about it, so I was like, this is interesting. It was all kinds of different people, all different races, straight people, gay people, it was like a drag queens. It was a total mix. And I had never seen that group of people, all together in one room and, having a good time. So I was just so surprised I hadn't seen this before, and it just kind of opened up a new door for me. Yeah. And I was thinking, man, I could get more people than this, I have more friends than this. So I was like, I want to introduce all my friends, anybody that wants to hear, I want to bring them into this.
Yeah.
And just like the first person that brought me to a show, how appreciative I am to them, that they opened that door for me. And I just wanted to be that person that opened that door for as many people as possible.
Man, I mean, that's so interesting, and I don't want to derail us, but, seeing everything that's going on, this week, with Black Lives Matter, with George Floyd, and really open up the conversation about race and about how separate we are at sometimes. And, but I think back to that, rave community, even just clubbing in general, where you had people of all races, orientations, genders. So, you had rich and poor people, right? And they're united by the music and by the wanting to dance and party. And I think it's interesting for people like us that kind of, grew up in that, and that kind of shapes your outlook on life, and, cut that against what's happening right now and the discussions we're having.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird because that was 26 years ago, and it feels like we've been having the same discussions over and over.
Yeah. And,
the same issues keep happening. And, it feels like, all these different times that we have never gotten there for some reason. And hopefully we can take this time and hopefully can actually make a change, because the progress has been too slow.
Yeah.
Has it changed in the last 26 years since I walked through those doors? Yes, but it's way too slow.
For sure. Yeah. And look, I think, that's also probably part of why music is considered subversive, and you know that better than anybody. You've been through, the backlash of the way that governments or establishment wants to paint, music and dance music in particular. Right. And I think part of that is that it brings young people together in ways that nothing else can. And that seems like a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, that's changed a lot too. I mean, the perception of, our music, that's changed a lot over the years, but there still is a negative connotation to it.
Sure.
Still to this day, because even when we talk to city officials or authorities, it's kind of always like, oh, yeah, we know that crowd, or we know that music. It's like, wait a second, we're not troublemakers. We're here. It's real. We're on the radio. We're commercial. It's part of life. This isn't underground. This isn't 20 years ago. This is now. But we're still our music is still kind of holds that negative stigma to it.
Do you think music still has that kind of that sort of subversive power, that counterculture?
I mean, I think it's still very powerful. I think it definitely can deliver a message to a large group of people. Maybe they couldn't get through. Maybe they're not going to sit down and read a book. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're not going to, read. Watch an interview with Oprah. But maybe through music, it can kind of disrupt what's going on, and basically educate these people, and get them, let them know really what's going on in the world. So, I mean, it's just a tiny bit, but
sure.
You can really get a message to music. Not a lot of people are doing it, but there are some.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's go back to you. One of the things I think is interesting about your business, you promote so many events. And so what makes it a Disco Donnie party? Like, is there a signature that you put on it?
Well, I don't know if that's a tough question, because what I've always just tried to, when I was in New Orleans, I just tried to do I was like the big promoter there. So I just was trying to outdo myself, right? So I was really only trying to compete against myself and just try to make it better. And, I didn't want to ever rest on my laurels, so I just wanted to keep on improving from show to show. I mean, it always didn't work, but I realized that I was trying, and just one thing I've always tried to inject into what I'm doing is some type of humor. I think that people take everything so seriously, back in the old days, and they take it very seriously now. So, I just try to make it fun. And, it's hard because sometimes it doesn't always translate. But I just always wanted people we're there to have fun. We're not there to criticize each other or bring each other down. It's about having a good time. And, I just try to let people know that. So that's kind of what my stamp is, just fun.
And so what's going on with the business right now? Is summer's ending? I think the last time we spoke, you were about to kick off some of the first events since the quarantine. And so what's happening now?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been crazy because when everything got shut down, we started, working on the drive-in concept. And, as we were working that around, it wasn't a very easy thing to pull off because a lot of these venues were kind of, the owners were eccentric. They didn't have email. They also were very high in demand because they were the only venue in town that could do stuff. So, they were fielding calls from promoters and graduations and birthday parties and anything you can imagine, churches. So, we spent a lot of time locking that down. And then, trying to convince artists to participate in that and that it was safe. And just as we started getting the first ones activated, they started opening up the bars in Texas and Florida. Right. So, so we took we announced it, the drive-in, and we took a lot of bad publicity, not a lot of bad publicity, but right now people are at home and they've got their torches and pitchforks out. Yeah. So that crowd came after us, right? So they're, your drive-ins, you're killing people. And so we took all that negative hit. We also got some positive comments from people and from media. But, so we drove through that and we started doing our drive-in events, and it was actually hard to get people to go because the bar down the street had opened up. Right. So, and all the friends hadn't been out in 3 months. So it was challenging. We kind of knew what was going to happen. So we kept on working on the safe play and kept on working on the drive-ins. And so now that's what we're doing now. But now we're back to being the only game in town. So we're back to being the villains again. So it's like, you can't win.
I mean, it's funny. I was thinking about, I was reading this morning about the Rave in France that I guess had 10,000 people, and now they're they got shut down, and now the promoters are, they're looking for them. I know there's a bunch of that happening in the UK, these underground raves and whatever, and I kind of think like when you started, our culture started from illegal parties, right? And it was underground from the beginning, and now, it's become mainstream. It's a different ballgame, but, I'm wondering two things. Well, first of all, how much does that matter to you? How much do you care if people outside of the culture are calling you the villains?
Well, it's not even the people outside. It's we're tearing ourselves apart, So it's people inside the EDM community. And listen, there's there's underground parties going on all over the place, and there's people everywhere I go. I see people congregating, and we're trying to provide a safe environment for people. Now, do some people break the rules? Do some people take off their mask? Yes. I mean, it's nothing's 100%,
Right.
but this is outdoors in a huge space, and there's no way to maintain 6 feet from every single person. But this is the best opportunity and the safest way that people can enjoy themselves. We actually had a show 2 weeks ago at a drive-in, and the fire marshal came over and he shut it down. So it's very reminiscent of the old Raves. And the reason he shut it down was he said that the drive-in was illegal. He misinterpreted the law because the drive-in had been operating. And we'd already done 2 shows at this drive-in, but it had been operating like the week before. They had Blake Shelton concert, right?
Yeah.
So now, it just smacks of like everything that the anti, just EDM or anti that crowd type of thing, totally discriminated against.
Sure.
So it goes right back to where we were in the 90s, and then you have everyone saying, not everyone, but a lot of people like, just give up. Why would you? I mean, why keep doing them? And my answer is that I've had parties shut down plenty of times.
Sure.
And I just did a party the next week.
Yeah.
They shut that one down, and I did a party the next week. So I've been through this already before.
Yeah.
So it does kind of it's kind of similar to what's going on right now, but I see a lot of those underground parties. I see the videos. I understand why people are doing them, but I definitely don't agree with them.
What do you mean?
Well, it's just it's bad. It's a bad look for the scene. It's a bad look for the city. I mean, there's other ways that you can get together in a much safer way. So I don't think 200 or 300 people in a house is safe for anyone right now.
Sure. Fair enough. But yeah, I mean, I think, what you were just saying, like, again, our culture, dance music came from illegal parties, and public health was always given as the reason, right? Whether it was drugs or, buildings that didn't have permits or, whatever it was, right? That's always been what law enforcement and government has used to try to shut down dance music. And it's, it's tempting maybe to think this is different, but I don't know if it's different.
Yeah, I mean, we're just held to a different standard. I mean, that's I've said this before. If if it's a country concert and this is people were like with the country concert at the drive-in. Well, those people are fine.
Sure.
Okay, now we're doing a DJ at a drive-in. Oh, those ravers are gonna do drugs and kill themselves. It's like
Right.
It's like no matter what you do, everybody's gonna we're already at a disadvantage. And this is coming from our own scene.
Yeah.
Like people are gonna do the wrong thing. So yeah, I mean, look, it's just one of those things. I mean, it's been a negative stigma with our scene since I've been in it. Some of it's earned. Mm-hmm. A lot of it anticipated, and I think that we should look forward and not backwards. I think a lot more people are a lot more responsible than what we give ourselves credit for.
Sure. So, I know we've talked a little bit about your history. You've been through so much, from legal battles to issues with partners, selling your company, buying it back. When you think about what's going on right now, how has all that experience prepared you for what we're going through this year?
I guess it just got me where I think that no matter what happens, no matter what roadblocks in your way, just never quit and never give up, and always look into the future. And I've definitely been through more than most, but I definitely think that it's helped me get to where I am, and it's going to help me get to where I'm trying to go in the future. And when I'm talking to my team or someone else, I can be like, oh, I've already been through something like this.
Sure.
And this is how this is how we come out of it. So I'm hoping to use all those negative experiences and turn them into something positive.
Are there specific lessons or things that come to mind as you're operating today of something you went through, back in the past?
I mean, it's the same thing when the government came in and shut me down, and then I kept on trying to do shows, and basically eventually I found the path where I got I did a Halloween show, and they sent the police to the venue and told the venue a bunch of lies, and so the lady didn't want to go forward with the event, which I understood. I had a contract and everything, but I respected her. She was worried about what the cops had told her, and the next week I started a weekly at House of Blues.
Right.
So
yeah, amazing. So how well, you were saying like that, right now things are changing from the drive-ins to the live and kind of some back and forth on that. Especially the drive-ins. How do you make those fun? Like how do you create an experience that's, better than people sitting at home watching a live stream or whatever?
Yeah. I mean, I think and I've learned this from my own personal experience, because I stayed in my house for 3 months, and we have friends in the neighborhood, and my wife would go see them, and I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna. You can break the seal, but if I'm in here, I'm sitting in here, So I did everything I was supposed to do, and I have a rental place at the beach, and we ended up going there in May, and I got there, and people were kind of starting to interact with each other, and I was still apprehensive like the first week, and then I hung out with a family that had been in quarantine the whole time, and I was like, oh, I'm starting to feel, I was starting to feel down. Like I was starting to feel the pressure that people were probably feeling at home.
Yeah, sure.
And the anxiety and the stress and the depression. I don't know what it was, but I could see that I was definitely, my personality had changed like in a week's time. I was definitely arguing with my kids, my wife, the dog, whatever. So I realized that I needed to get some human interaction. I know it wasn't 100% safe, but I had to have that in my life. And then once I got that, I started feeling better about myself. And then I started inviting some other people out of their cocoons, and they would come over with the mask on, and I'm like, you can take off your mask. We're okay. We're outside.
Right.
Everything's fine. And so I started unlocking other people's lives, and that's kind of what I look at the drive-ins. And I think that it's, people need that in their lives, and I don't think people can stay cooped up inside, and they're not going to. Mm-hmm. So I think providing them with something outside of just being cooped up or trying to go to something illegal is important. And they embraced it. I mean, they get dressed up. We have like costume contests, we have mask contests. People brought, made their own rails. So of course they're going all out. This is their only event of the summer, and so it's worked out. And a lot of people have enjoyed them, and I think it might be the only thing going on for a while. So it's I think you're going to see a lot more of them, and I think you're going to see a lot more people embracing them.
Yeah, I think you're right. And you said something that sticks with me, that, nothing's 100% safe, right? Going out for a drive is not 100% safe. Going to, a a ball game or whatever, right? There's always some risk. Having a friend over, you might catch the flu and people die from the flu, right? Like there's, we take risks every day. We usually don't think about them because they're not on the news or they're not, confronting us in the same way. But there's risk in everything. And to your point, there's risk. I think we're all learning there's risk at staying home by yourself month after month and not having, interaction with other people. And that takes a toll too. So I think it's up to all of us to find the right balance for us individually and for our communities, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, people need balance. I think they need to make safe decisions. But you have to live some semblance of life, because if you go on on what we're going now, I mean, some people will never leave their house.
Right.
I mean, I see it. I mean, people are scared in there, and I understand. But listen, we're all adults. We all can see the news. We all know what's going on, and people just need to make their own decision and do it safely so you don't affect others. So
what's been, any sort of pleasant surprises since you started, having the parties again?
I think that, the artists that have been able to play them, because everybody's they're in the same boat, right? Because everybody's being attacked online, no matter what, right? So the artists are actually scared to play these events, and the ones that have taken a leap, they haven't all worked out, and some of it's they get negative comments, but I think a lot of the ones that have jumped out, I mean, they've been so appreciative, and the fans that have gone have been so appreciative. So it's like we're still delivering. I think for the ones that go, the ones that aren't sitting at home and just criticizing what's going on, I think for the ones that go, they're going to remember this, that we were still there fighting for them, for sure. And that that's going to be somebody that's going to be with us for a long time. Yeah,
I think that's right. You have a vibe of like not giving a fuck what other people think, but I know that can't be true, because you wouldn't do what you did if it wasn't like what you do. What you do is for other people. So how do you balance those things?
I mean, listen, I care what people think. I listen to what they're saying. I can't make my decisions based on what they think. But if, I do, I learned early on. I mean, it was hard when I was young and I started this out. And I mean, the negative criticism is the same as it was. It was the same then as it is now. It's just different complaints, and people can voice them easier. Sure. Right. So yeah. It's definitely always been around. I just learned, it used to make me upset, and it used to drive me actually. And I see what people are saying, and, I throw out all the positive stuff always. And I concentrate on the negative, and, cause that's really what I see, and that's what I want to get better at. I take that. I know not all of it's true. I know a lot of it's exaggerated, but that's what I use to kind of help keep improving.
That's so funny. So you say you use that complaints or the negative feedback to get better. What does that look like now? What are you getting better at this year?
I see people. I mean, I see people are concerned about their safety. I mean, even in this, the show that got shut down, the venue is 420,000 square feet. So at 7 square foot per person, it's basically over 60,000 people you can put in the venue. And we sold 2,500 tickets.
Wow.
But people were still complaining that they weren't socially distanced, right? So
are you involved in Rave the Vote?
Yes.
So with that though, how do you decide what causes to get involved in? I mean, that's, talk about something that gets people mad at you, right? And it's kind of like, no matter what you do.
Yeah, I mean, on the vote thing, we don't tell people who to vote for.
Sure.
We're just telling them to register.
Yeah.
So we try to stay out of that part of thing because I know from what I see online and in my life, when one side starts talking, the other side stops listening. Yeah. So, and that goes both ways. So I don't think that I don't think we're here to tell people what's right or what's wrong. I mean, I have my own personal opinion, but who wants to? I don't think that somebody needs to hear like who to vote for from a rave promoter. Right. So we get in that. We get involved with a lot of stuff like in local communities that we're doing festivals at. So they know we're not, since we don't not necessarily sit there from that area. They were helping out causes there. We work with a lot of children's things. That's the kind of stuff we look for. Nice. Stuff, really like stuff that the venues support. They, the charities. I know after Hurricane Harvey in Houston, I think we raised like $200,000. I mean, a lot of that came from the artists and stuff in Houston. So, we're always trying to do something. I mean, and we can always, it's never enough. So, we always can do more.
Yeah. You were talking about, you get shut down, you do another one, you kind of, I think you're very in the moment in terms of how your business is. And obviously we've seen you, making a bunch of pivots this year. How do you, with what we were just talking about as far as, what the future of the business looks like on the other side of pandemic or whatever, are there, how do you balance that with kind of making moves for having a better business in the long term?
Well, I mean, it's difficult right now. I mean, my promoter instinct is always to take risks. And I think that's why we were almost, we were on the electronic music side. We were first to market on the drive-in because I had control of the company. Yeah. And, I was able to, all the I's weren't dotted and all the T's weren't crossed, like we had the contracts on the venue, but maybe it wasn't signed or, right. I was able to get it up first and be first to market because I'm independent again. And I was trusting my independent roots and my instincts that, that we were going to figure it out. It's hard because, I wanted to go big in 2021 and, I wanted to finish 2020 strong and go big in 2021 and kind of expand what I was doing. I was also talking with other groups, about, whether partnering with them or acquiring them in some manner to help stabilize some kind of distressed properties. Mm-hmm. So, everything's kind of on the table now, and off the table. Well, I mean, I don't know, on, off, it's on and off the table and, it's on the floor. Yeah. So it's basically 2020 is on the floor. So no, I mean, I just don't know. I mean, I see the numbers getting better when I'm looking at the raw data, and then I turn on CNN and they're saying it's worse, and right. So I just don't even know. And then the states are they'll dump like 3 months worth of stuff on one day, so it's just really hard to follow and try to figure out what's the path.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. I want to talk about something that we didn't talk about last time, but you, a lot of your events are in smaller markets. or at least not the, New York, LA. And that, to me, that's always like a really interesting strategy is to go after markets that might be, in some ways overlooked. Is that on purpose? And tell me the ups and downs of operating a business that way.
Yeah, I mean, the original concept was that when building out the routing and the company was that I was going into markets where nobody was doing anything, or I was going into a market and working with the local promoter, and normally in a market like so it was a low barrier to entry, right? So in a market like Nashville or something, maybe they had like one or two promoters, smaller size, or one big one and a couple of smaller ones. When you go into a market like LA, you're dealing with it's like the mafia, right?
Sure.
So like 4 or 5 different families, and then you have all these junior mafia, mafia wannabes. So
Right.
like there's a lot more effort in doing that. So I just basically thought that if I took all the smaller markets first and just kind of surrounded the larger markets, eventually, that would be the door into to larger markets. That was the original thing.
So, and is that a good strategy? If I'm starting a business today, is that how you would advise me?
I don't know if I would advise you on that, but I actually did. I got into I got into LA and New York and Seattle, and I've done shows in San Francisco, Miami, Chicago. So I've done it all. It's basically it's a lot more difficult to deal with a mafia boss than one of the soldiers.
Sure.
It's easier to deal with the soldiers in the other markets. So
That's right. Yeah, no, I think I always feel like, whatever business you're in, play the game you can win, play in a market where you can win, and that, that allows you to grow from a position of strength. And, I think being the 30th largest promoter in LA is probably not, you don't have any leverage.
Right. Well, exactly. So, and the effort you have to put in to compete against the largest promoter, it's just not even that it's just not worth the squeeze.
Sure.
I learned that early on. So
I like it. So close us out, man. I know it's been a crazy ass year. How are you keeping it fun?
Fun? I'm trying to act like everything's normal and just trying to keep it all together. But there's not a lot of normal things going on right now.
Sure.
I was able to be at the beach for 3 months. So that really, that definitely helped my mental health and where I was at. I was able to go to the U.S. Virgin Islands, like a vacation, so that I was able to get away from here.
Nice.
So, I'm in a good place right now, but you have to check back next week because who knows? Who knows what's going on? But I'm just trying to look on the bright side and just hope for the future that we can get through this and start getting back to some type of normal lives. Everything's going to be different, but just to have the opportunity to help build that out again, that's what's kind of keeping me going.
Yeah, I like that. Just thinking about that, and I know we were talking about earlier, you've survived a lot of things, but I'm sure you also have staff in your local markets, people that run things on the ground. What's it like leading those people, and how are they surprising you, or what are you doing to kind of keep them saying, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, that's where the drive-ins come, and we have my team, which I've been able to hold on to everyone, and then we have our partners, and then we're trying to do live streams. Each one's different, right? Some of them are disinterested in anything and are just totally checked out. Some of them are interested in the live stream. Some of them are interested in the drive-ins. So we're just giving them all the options. And yeah, I mean, I think with what we did with our guys is basically said, hey, we can pay you 50%, and if you need help, let us know, right? So I'm trying to give people security. It's kind of month to month right now.
Sure.
But just trying to give the people that work with us some security of what's going on, so they're not worried about it all the time, and so we're trying to get people back to being creative.
Yeah.
It's just with the position everybody's back in.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's good leadership, right? Like I think you, as a leader, like you want to have everything figured out and tell people, here's what it is and all that. And now we're in the situation where, things are so unpredictable, that I think that sort of transparency of like, well, here's what we can do, but let's talk, is that's an important shift.
Yeah, I've been a little pie in the sky the whole time. I went from like super negative before all the shit shut down, like telling people, oh, the world's going to end. And then whenever everything shut down, then I went back to, okay, it's gonna be okay. We're going to make it through this. We can do this. So it changes week to week. Do you
manage that? Like those feelings inside yourself, do you manage those on purpose, or does it just like whatever hits you comes out of your mouth?
Whatever comes out of my mouth, I think. So I don't think there's a plan. We try to have like a whole team call like every 2 or 3 weeks to kind of update everybody what's going on, and so everybody can figure out, because everybody's worried. They're worried about what's going on, but they're also worried about what's going on with themselves. Yeah, and I'm just trying to give them comfort. And not that I know shit. I'm like, oh, the numbers are looking better. Hospitalizations are down in 17 states, and so they're probably like, yeah, whatever, fuck you. But I'm just trying to look on the bright side and try to give them the positive thoughts.
Yeah. That's cool, man. I think that goes a long way. I believe it's just as hard to run a small business as it is a big business. And that might be a little generalization, but I think what I mean is, like, and you said something on our summit that I thought was really important, that I forget the question, but you said something like, we do 1,000 shows a year. So, we spread the risk, right? Any one show is not going to make or break us. And for a lot of promoters right now, that's not the case, right? That that one cancellation may put them out of business. Right. And I think, like, in every business, the only real insulation we have from that type of risk is by being big enough to weather it, right? And we see that right now with, the big chain restaurants are going to take a little hit, but they're going to be fine. And the mom and pops, half of them will probably go out of business. Was there a point where that shifted for you? Because now you've built a big business, or multiple times a big business, and you started out kind of running a small business.
Well, yeah, no, I did it out of necessity, right? It wasn't any kind of like master plan or a book, Rave promoted for dummies or anything. But
you should write that.
I could do that one. But no, I mean, it was basically, I got into it doing small events, and as they grew and grew and got bigger, I got away from the small events. And then when the market crashed in 2001, the whole dance scene went from, the top of the mountain to the bottom. Yeah. And I just had to reinvent it, and I had to start small again. and that still wasn't enough, to be doing small shows in one market. And so then I started stringing together other markets, and then I started making connectors with, like, if you're going to fly to Cleveland, you might as well play Columbus. And if you're going to play in Columbus and Cleveland, you might as well play Cincinnati. So, I was just doing it out of necessity and to survive. And, it wasn't easy. I mean, it was a really if you look at the scene now and you go back 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, I mean, there was very lean years. There was times it was basically, my wife we had a kid and another one on the way, and my wife's like, you need to get a job. And I told her I had a job, so it didn't seem like it to her, but
right. Talk about, so you mentioned selling the company to SFX, and I know you were a big part of building that company, and then recently you just bought it back, right? Can you talk about those decisions, the decision to sell and then the decision to buy back, and how'd you go through that internally?
Well, I mean, the decision to sell was pretty easy because I had been, it was kind of the right time, right place thing. I had been working with Pasquale, and I had rolled my company into the Insomniac brand. So I really didn't have a brand, and we came to a point of where, for one reason or another, that I found out that I didn't own any of the Insomniac brand,
right? And
so that was kind of a reaction. So I just spun out my assets back into a new old company, and literally within within 2 months to 60 days of having that conversation with Pasquale, I had a deal to sell the new company. So it was kind of a shock to put all my effort and time and my team into building a brand, and then finding out that I wasn't going to be. It wasn't like that. I didn't own anything.
Yeah, of course.
So
of course.
It was great for me. I mean, it was a great deal. I would do it again. And if somebody's looking for somebody, no, but so it was just perfect timing, and because I hadn't saved. Like I said, I had the kids, and all the money was going into the next show, and there's no time and the scene was growing. 1 year you're doing show, your business brought in $5 million. Next year it's 10, and next year it's 15, but there's no money coming out.
Right.
It's just, how do you grow a business without capital?
Yeah.
And so you take losses. It's not all ups. So it was a perfect scenario for me. And I was able to finally give my family some security. And I was also able to take care of I was able to introduce a lot of other promoters that had been doing it for a long time and that didn't have any security, and they were able to take some money off the table. And so I mean, it was a good feeling to get done. I would do it differently if I had to do it over again. I would have retained more control of the overall company. But it was an experience, a good experience, a bad experience,
sure,
a learning experience. But what it was an experience, and I knew I had seen all the other companies, all the other, I guess, basically principal owners that had sold their company. I had watched through the 8-year time that I watched them all leave. And whether they had, they had gotten too much money, or had lost interest, or didn't like how the company was going. There's a multitude of reasons, but a lot of people left. It was a serious brain drain on the company. And my goal was to just keep my head down, keep trying to, keep doing good stuff. And, hopefully one day I would have the opportunity to buy my name back. And so it was kind of a story of it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to explain to people why I just didn't leave, sit out a year, and just start over. But I just knew if I just waited for the right time, that eventually I would have the opportunity. So
what? So kids starting out today, promoting shows. What do you want them to learn from you?
Wow. I mean, I don't know, because I think there's a real, if you would have come to me 20 something years ago, I don't think there was like a lane, right? You had the big promoter and then you had a bunch of little promoters. I just feel now there's a real niche, or that people can make their own niche. Let me rephrase that. It's like, I hope people just learn that I didn't know anything. I didn't know what I was doing. Nobody taught me. I just learned. I learned for myself, and I started at the bottom. I was passing out flyers. People weren't even paying me. I was doing it for free.
Yeah, sure.
I was just helping people out, and I loaded in speakers. I worked the front door. I did it all. I worked every position, so I understand what people were doing. And I just hope people learn that if you try really hard and you stick with it and you love it and you really believe in it, that you can be successful. And it's not going to be easy. There's going to be a lot of people closing doors in your face, but if you stick with it and like I said, and put the time and the effort in and the love, it could come back to you. And I've seen people be able to carve out their own identity that wasn't an Insomniac, or it wasn't an Ultra or whatever. I've seen promoters all around the country be able to carve out their own identity and be successful. And it's crazy. I mean, the opportunity is there.
Yeah, for sure. I saw a quote somewhere. You describe yourself as a master of living in the moment.
I said that? Well, I was probably drinking.
Yeah, it could be. Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is that an accurate way to describe you? And how do you do that? Or maybe,
I mean, how do I do that? I think about things a lot, but I basically I just kind of go with the flow. I don't worry about stuff too much, right? So you can only do what you control. So I always just believe I believe more in like personal conversation. I'd rather talk to somebody one-on-one than write them an email or when people do interviews. I don't ever want to do like the written questionnaire, like where the publicist types it out and you edit it and stuff. I always like to do the phone interview. I come off like a dumbass, but it was me, so that's what I sound like, unfortunately. So, I'll read it. Jesus Christ, I should have, I've got to give money to charity for every time I said, or but that's real. And I think that's more authentic. And hopefully people see that instead of like some processed person that comes through that I see with a lot of other people in this industry.
Yeah. How are you able to keep it light, kind of with seeing everything going on around us right now?
It's hard. It's definitely stressful. And I know I have like a large group of people that like my family and my team and stuff like that. And what I'm trying to show them is I'm always trying to show them strength, right? That everything's going to be okay. And that, look, I know it looks bad and it is bad, but if you look at history, we've been through we've been through bad stuff before. And in the end, we also, our country, no matter how bad it's been, we correct it eventually.
For sure.
We used to burn witches at the stake. Well, that sounds crazy. No, but we did that, right? So if you look back at it now, I mean, it's just like, I just try to tell people that, we just have to keep working through this. And in the end, we'll get to the right point. It might take a lot of time, but we'll get there.
No, I think that's so valuable, and it's especially hard, I think, for young people who haven't seen a lot of the crazy shit in our history or haven't lived it, to develop that perspective. And I mean, I had a conversation with my mom the other day because she's like, it's really hard to feel optimistic about the future, and I was like, yeah, of course it is, but let's think of all the shit that we've overcome as in humanity, or in this country or whatever, and you realize that this is just another one.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, that's what I'm trying to portray that. But,
for sure.
No, we don't know. But
no, of course.
We've been through some bad stuff. So.
Absolutely. All right. Well, in the interest of keeping it light, let me do a little lightning round before I let you go. What's your favorite city to travel to?
Favorite city? Sorry, somebody's hotel's calling.
Okay.
The favorite city. Damn, lightning round. I'm not good at lightning round. New Orleans.
New Orleans.
That's where I'm from. Yeah. God, why am I so stupid?
It's one of my favorite cities too. I love it.
Give me something easy. Like, don't ask me, like, where's my birthplace? Because then I could have said New Orleans and my favorite city. Okay, let's go. Start over. Let's go. New lightning round. This is going to be the slow lightning.
I hate to tell you, the next one is not easier. Who's your favorite DJ?
My favorite DJ, I would say, if you had to put a gun to my head, I would say Derek Carter.
Yeah. What's the last great book you read?
The last great book I read, I don't know if it's called a great book, but it's I read the Howard Stern interview book.
Oh yeah.
It was great to me, but that's the last book I read.
I mean, he's great. He's a great interviewer.
Yeah.
What movie do you think you've seen the most in your life?
The most movie, Blazing Saddles.
Oh shit. I love that movie.
This is gonna be like, these are all references that nobody that listens to this is gonna. It's like, it's like, oh, I remember the Roaring '20s. I remember this old guy, Blazing Saddles.
Nah, man. Everybody listening, if they haven't, should watch Blazing Saddles. Incredible movie.
It's totally inappropriate, but
for sure.
It's yeah.
Absolutely. So, if you could wake up tomorrow having gained one quality or ability, what would it be?
One quality. I wish I could see the future. Yeah. So, and the other one would be know what people were thinking. So, if I just had those two, I
absolutely.
would. I could. That could be good.
That's for
sure. Make some money.
Lastly, if I worked for Disco Donnie Presents, what's something I would hear you say over and over?
You would hear me say, somebody do something. Because I'm always joking with them that I have to do everything. So that's just kind of like, that's my motivator,
nice.
My motivating speech.
Nice. That's dope. Hey, well, so talk about what's coming up. I know you just had the Road Rave drive-in, and I know you got, I know you have shows happening, which interested to see how that plays out. What does it look like?
Yeah, I mean, we're pushing some stuff back because of everything that's going on, but we just did an event in Houston at a drive-in. It was a big learning curve, but it was very successful and people enjoyed it.
Nice. I
think we might be able to do, we'll do more there. And we have we have a couple on sale in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. We have the Orlando one, which is sold out. We have one in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're working on like 3 or 4 other cities that right now. So just the timelines are different everywhere because as we've been getting these up, also there are they're basically the rules are changing everywhere we go.
Right.
So I'm in a lot of red states, and they're opening up faster than we can't even keep up with them. Right. So it's like, 25%, 50%, 75, 100, 150%. So it's kind of hard to do a drive-in when all the bars and restaurants are going to be open 100%.
Right. Yeah, of course.
That wasn't the concept. The concept was nobody leaving their house, and then you have to come to the drive-in. So,
sure.
It's complicated.
But it sounds like, I know there's been a lot of speculation about, whether people will go, if they have the option. It sounds like what you're saying is people want it.
Everywhere I've seen where it's a complicated situation because remember when they opened the beaches in Florida and the whole country laughed at, oh, look at Florida, you dummies, and every time they open a beach somewhere,
sure,
then everybody goes to the beach and then the whole rest of the country laughs at them online.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if people are, I'm not sure, if people are going to go out, some people are going to stay in. All I know is whenever they open something up, everybody goes.
Right.
So unless, of course, you're locked in your house and then you stay at home and make fun of those people.
Exactly.
So, right. So, I mean, there's 2 different people, but I'm looking at the beach right now and it's packed. So,
yeah, I don't doubt it. Cool. Well, how should people follow you or find out what you have going on?
At Real Disco Donnie. It's on Twitter and Instagram.
Dope. Well, man, I appreciate everything you're doing. It's definitely been fun watching it from afar, and I think we all have a lot to learn from you, and what you brought to the scene and the business and the culture. It's all good stuff. Well,
thank you, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
All right, man. Thank you.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, that was Disco Donnie on Rebel Radio. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. Leave us a comment. Hit us on Twitter, Facebook. And that's it. Twitter or Facebook. It's at Rebel Radio Net. You can always leave a review of our iTunes if you want to. Throw some stars our way. And most importantly, come back next week for more Rebel Radio. Peace.